Hi, this is Dave. I'm at the start of NEAF 2012 here. A very exciting morning here with Robert Reeves, our good friend, longtime contributor and fantastic Astroimager of the moon and deep sky objects and everything. And Bob, you're here and you've given a paper at NEAF about lunar imaging, and your imaging activities that have gone on for a whole generation here have really come full circle now, haven't they?
They have. I began my lunar imaging back in 1959 with the moon. Because back then the moon was a big deal. It was a national priority. It was part of our politics with the Cold War with Russia. The moon was rapidly becoming a destination. We were going to send men to the moon, and eventually did with the Apollo program. So back in the early days of my astronomy, when I was young, early teenage years, the moon was a really big deal. And I began my lunar imaging with fairly primitive equipment and achieved some pretty good success right off the bat, and it encouraged me to keep going. But then there was a fundamental shift in the way amateurs did astronomy back in the 1970s when the Schmidt-Cassegrain telescope started coming out. We had affordable, powerful, portable telescopes, and we started moving away from the city to do our astronomy and discover deep sky. So I kind of followed suit, became a deep sky photographer, got heavily involved in using the old Celestron 8-inch Schmidt camera. That's kind of where my reputation came. The extreme deep sky images I was able to do with the Schmidt camera. But lately, I've gone digital with everybody else. My deep sky photography followed, kind of scaled back to do wide field imaging with DSLRs, and discovered that with modern techniques, the DSLR and modern lenses did just as good on deep sky as my old Schmidt camera did. And then more recently, webcam imaging came around, became the accepted technique for doing lunar and planetary work, and I rediscovered the moon, my old passion from 50 years ago.
And what really brought you back to the moon? Was it just sort of coming full circle, and with this new equipment now you could approach it in a different way?
Yeah, well, we can now get such high resolution on the moon, we can explore areas that we couldn't before. From my garage top back home in San Antonio, using a 37-year-old Celestron 8 and off-the-shelf cameras that don't cost that much nowadays, the new webcam-style cameras, I'm actually doing better imaging of the moon than the professionals did back in the heyday of Apollo. So,
absolutely amazing.
We can now explore areas of the moon that we ignored before because we simply couldn't resolve it, couldn't see the detail. We can now look at the geology of the moon and the topography and the geography of the moon in detail that was impossible earlier. And it's just reopened up an old area that I loved when I was a kid, and now I can explore it in even greater detail. And I hope through my efforts with publicizing webcam techniques and a book I'm doing currently about the moon, I can reintroduce amateurs to the moon. We've ignored it too long. The moon's in our backyard. It's there almost every night. It's not a target that we should ignore because it blocks out the deep sky. It's a target we should embrace in addition to deep sky. So I'm kind of making that my mission now, reintroducing everybody to the moon and getting amateur astronomers to return to the moon.
Well, that's fantastic, Bob. And what is the time scale for your book project?
Well, the key with Wilman Bell books is that they're never published before they're ready.
Yeah.
And there's the book gets written quickly, and then there's a long process of editing where we refine it and refine it and refine it and get it down to where it's bulletproof, where you'd never see a bad review about a Wilman Bell book.
Yes.
So we're at that stage now. It's written, I'm illustrating it. We're going to go through iterations of refining and improving the layout, getting it to where it's essentially, like I said, a bulletproof book where everybody can enjoy it, understand it, comprehend it, and then it'll be out. And I hope hope maybe a year.
Excellent. So a year from now, be sure to look for Bob Reeves' book on lunar imaging, which will be the Bible.
Well, it's more than lunar imaging. It's going to be about the history of the moon, the exploration of the moon, observing the moon, understanding the moon. So it's going to be quite comprehensive.
Terrific. Well, thanks for letting us know, and thanks for sharing the enthusiasm about lunar imaging, Bob. Always great to see you, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.